variance, they'll have a chance to do that, okay?
The fence is over 10 years old. It is falling down. I've been getting 2x4s and rigging it up, and I have an elderly father that lives there, and I'm more or less concerned for his safety and also for our dog where he doesn't get out of the backyard. And it would also show some improvement on the property as well.
Okay, and you're asking for a 6-foot fence with a 2-foot variance, is that correct?
It's going to be in the same exact space as the old fence is.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board? Larry?
What color are you planning to have the new fence?
White.
Matching the house or close?
Kind of close.
Good. It'll look much better than that brown fence.
Thank you.
How come you're using vinyl instead of wood?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Why are you using the vinyl instead of wood?
Vinyl is more maintenance free. When it gets dirty, all you got to do is pressure wash it. You don't have to go out periodically, restain it, or replace the boards on it as they start to warp or rot.
Was there anything from any of the neighbors, Tiffany, comments?
No,
Because
we
we
just
given a
had,
variance down the way from him not too long ago.
Paul and Barb Reacher, did you say that name?
I believe so. I'm not too sure.
1059 Birmingham. They showed up and they thought you were gonna put your fence in a different location, maybe
Right.
closer to the road. But then once they talked to you, they were like, okay, we're fine with it,
How
so.
many feet off the road is that? Like, is that 30? I went out, we looked at it. We were out there actually.
It's actually my father's house, so I moved in back in January to take care of him. I'm his caregiver. I don't know the exact measurement.
It looks like it's quite a ways off if you look at the plat that we looked at over here.
The,
Is it 30 or
It's
20?
like
So
40 feet.
in 2005, you have has your father?
Yes.
Father, you said? Okay.
Yes.
Has been there since 2005 or built the house? I presume?
Yes.
Okay. So in your packet, there was a zoning permit issued for the fence.
With a 1-foot variance at that point. We gave him a variance, right? Because it was 4 foot, we gave him a 1 foot, made it 5.
I believe that is correct.
That is
Yes,
correct.
I looked in the file, and I didn't look in the Board of Zoning Appeals file, I just saw that it was approved.
Yeah.
So this particular request is in essence, it's a 2-foot variance because I'm trying to explain this.
It's a
It's
corner of-
along the Brittingham side specifically, along the east side of the property and the south side of the property. They are permitted to install a 6-foot high fence.
Right.
They were permitted to install a 5-foot tall fence, but when they remove a fence, that variance goes away. They have to seek new variance in case the codes change, that sort of thing. So, because if he was just making a repair, we wouldn't be discussing it. Because he's going to tear it down and replace it, he's requesting a 1-foot variance. So that, in essence, what you're hearing.
So actually, if we made a motion, it'd be a 2-foot variance because the code's 4 foot on that side. So we're gonna give him 4 to 6 foot is what he wants.
Correct.
Okay.
I had 3 calls from neighbors. The last name of Charles at 1069 Brittingham was in opposition to the fence. Sandy Davis and her husband at 1099 Duxbury were opposed to that. I got those 2 calls on August 17th. And on August 16th, a Karen Apshire and a William Stewart, I guess they're married, but the wife didn't take the husband's name, and I don't have an address for them, but were vocally opposed to the variance.
That's, make it the 6 foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he could go ahead and do the 5 foot if he's replacing what was there before, is that correct, Bob? Technically. 'cause
Correct.
We gave him a variance before in 2005, and I
Correct.
was on this board.
because they thought, when the people were in here just recently, they thought he was gonna put it all the way to the road. What was their, do you know what they?
That was
They
the one that was in
They
the
They didn't
same
give me a
building,
reason, they just said they were opposed, they didn't give any
Because they
reason.
had gotten information,
but they
I
didn't
don't know
have,
where they
the-
got that
I have no
information
idea.
from,
that
he was
wasn't a
like,
corner lot, because we went out and looked at, that's where we pulled in the driveway.
what's up?
That wasn't, the other one we gave the variance to, that was all
Oh.
behind there. That's in the same development as this gentleman, it's down the road from it, I remember going to the house. Cause that was all in the back, that wasn't where, being a corner lot, it's like 2 front yards, like we always say, so
Right.
that's what he needs to do. He could 5 foot up and doesn't have to do anything about it, in my opinion.
Well, I wanna raise one thing with the board. You're part of a homeowners association there at Anavar, right?
Yes,
I think their restriction is 5 feet on fences.
with their homeowners association, they have changed it to 6 foot, and they did approve us to go with the 6 foot.
Okay,
I'd just like to bring up a point.
well, I need to have you come to the
Got to swear you in.
podium. We've got to make this more formal than, so if you'll raise your right hand, no, the other right hand.
I have the right hand, yep.
I get confused with that too. You solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead. If you could identify yourself by your name and your address.
My name is Edward Del Ferraro. I live at 1073 Brittingham Drive.
Okay?
Okay. I'm not, my understanding too was that he was going to apply for a variance to change the footprint of the old fence.
Yeah.
So the question is this new fence going to encroach upon the 30-foot setback?
No, he's gonna use the same spot, I went out and
So
looked.
you're going to use the same spot?
Yeah, he's not
I think
changing.
that's
Right.
where the confusion.
And I understand, I have, we have a meeting coming up for the homeowners association. Whatever our board did, and it has probably nothing to do with this board, the restrictions and covenants still say 5 foot high. They said they changed it, but they didn't follow the bylaws. So I'm
No, I understand.
I'm dealing with some other things over and above his request. Same footprint doesn't bother me in the least. It doesn't. I just wanted to make sure that it didn't encroach upon that setback, for
He
30
may-
foot. It is a
you can
corner
get
lot.
letter from the homeowners association.
Well, we can do whatever we want here, but if it doesn't comply with homeowners
They
bylaws,
supersede whatever we do in
well,
this case.
yeah, they can control because he's part of the homeowners
I don't have a
association.
hard copy, but I have it on my phone. It is still in the restrictions.
Yeah,
It's
well-
still there at 5 foot, but we have a lot of things to hammer out within ourselves.
Okay, so what we do here is gonna be contingent upon, what the homeowners association does.
Right.
Because the deed, says this conveyance is hereby made expressly subject to taxes and assessments not yet due and payable. All existing and recorded restrictions, exceptions, reservations, easements, rights of way, and so forth. And the restrictions would be the bylaws that have been recorded at the Portage County Recorder's Office.
Exactly.
So if those have not been changed formally, then that's up to the association to do whatever it wants to do. But, Mr. McFarland, you're going to have to, this is one step, this is, the homeowners association is still going to be somebody you have to get approval from because you're part of that and it's a deed restriction within your property.
Is it, what, was there specific language in the notification that was sent to the neighbors? Because it's just like they're all coming up with this idea that it's,
I
yeah.
don't know. No, it would just have been a regular letter.
Yeah.
I just don't know, it seems odd that they're all getting this misunderstanding, I don't know.
I think
Well,
it's so far off the road, it really doesn't infringe on anything. Normally, a corner lot is like having, like you know, it's like having 2 fronts. This thing is way off. I bet you it's
Yeah.
30 foot. I didn't measure it, but I
But
bet
it's just
it's.
multiple people seem
It's
to be
40
getting the
foot.
idea that
It's
it's
40
It's
foot if you go by the
Ma-
drawing.
The major,
was.
not interrupt, but the major concern is we don't want to set a precedence over and beyond the bylaws and the restrictions, and that's
But they
a
still have to
concern.
come to the zoning board.
I know they do.
We've all been on
which-
this a long time.
Right, no, I appreciate that, but,
We're
yeah.
older than we look.
Hmm?
We're older than we look. We've been doing this a long time.
no, you're just getting older, you know.
Okay, that's very generous.
Okay,
So, no, I appreciate the
Yeah.
comment on things, and Mr. McFarland, that's for your information also.
Yeah.
There is a reservation specifically in the deed to that property, and if there is a deed restriction, as long as it's not an unlawful deed restriction, you're restricted by that. So, and if the homeowners association has not done an amendment to those regulations and recorded it,
right.
then you're back to the 5 feet. But if they're gonna do 6 or whatever with the meeting coming up, that's another hurdle for you.
At this
Yeah.
point,
No,
could he do the 5 foot?
Mm-hmm.
You could do 5 foot at this point without anything with these guys.
But, you know,
Yeah,
I mean, I
that
think the application that he got from the association does say 6, and then we questioned that to the board, and they said, well, we all voted, and I don't know who we all is, but that doesn't make any difference. It is, still hasn't been changed, and that's my
He
beef.
could do
with that.
5 on the same footprint he's on
Yeah.
now, without doing anything. If he wants to go 6, that's up to you guys approving that, because.
Yeah,
the
and it looked to me
homeowners-
like going farther down Duxbury, there's a house on the left that, if that's a 5-foot fence, I'm Abraham Lincoln.
That white one?
All right.
Yeah,
Well, and I agree with you, and that's why I talk about precedents.
Yeah.
You don't want to set something that's not
I
there.
understand. Yeah,
And to be honest with you, the look, as long as it's on the setbacks,
Yeah, and
5 or 6 is really kind of irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
But it is a violation of the restrictions.
and I
Until
think
it's
some of the confusion is, Clark can answer your question, I don't know, I'm speculating, but I don't think anybody came in to take a look at the site
Okay.
plan or anything. I think they just
Just
saw
a
that.
generic
and-
notice
Yeah.
that someone's applied for a variance. Does it not give
Yeah,
the specifications of what's being sought or anything?
yeah,
It just says, I'm just trying to remember, basically, I was gonna try to pull it up on my phone, I don't have it with me, but, that Mr.
McFarland.
McFarland has applied to the City of Ravenna zoning for a fence height variance.
Oh, okay. It's pretty specific. Yeah, I just don't know why they think
Yeah.
the footprint is
I
gonna
don't-
change.
Why would you apply for a height if,
Well, that's what
Well,
was
he's-
on.
well, if he's under the impression that he can have a 6 foot? I mean, that's why, I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes. What is this variance
I
for?
Because
would
he's on it.
be more comfortable with the landowners association passing it than him coming back.
But let me say, though, Board of Zoning Appeals reviews our zoning code. We do not review homeowners association. So, as Tim said, we don't know what their bylaws are. We're going to review what our code says and approve or disapprove based on what you guys decide. He is still bound to the homeowners association through his deed. So if we give him permission, homeowners association says no, homeowners association now has to take him to court to remedy the situation.
But the Ravenna code is 6 foot, because I looked at
No, in the front yard,
Yeah,
it would be 3 foot or 4 foot, depending on the type of fence.
because it's a
Right.
corner lot. so
It's a
we-
corner
we
lot,
count that as 2
exactly.
front
Right.
yards.
Right, yeah, but and I understand that, the setbacks, and I know the setbacks there are 40 foot, so.
Correct.
Larry,
So
you-
in,
Larry's got a question here for a minute. Go
Did the
ahead.
people that call you express the reason for their disapproval?
No.
Was it the height, the color,
No,
the setback?
it was just very vociferous.
I love that
I
word.
believe the main concern was the setback.
It wasn't specific, and so it was just, they didn't want anything new, apparently.
We don't really need to make a motion, because right now we can keep he can go back in and do a 5-foot vinyl fence if he wanted, because it's on the same.
Well, it depends
footprint.
upon what he wants, if he wants to ask for the 6 foot,
But
or
if
if he
you want a
wants to
6
ask.
foot, you're gonna have to go talk to those guys.
no,
first.
No.
not unless Board of Zoning Appeals approves it.
We can give him a variance.
So do you wanna get, that's true, we can give a variance for 6 based upon the HOA
Well,
situation.
Correct, but
Yeah,
the
but
HOA is going to react on their own.
Yeah,
They're not going to come back to the Board of Zoning Appeals
Right.
Yeah,
if you
so-
guys decide to do that.
yeah,
Correct.
so if we give a 6 foot, and they stay with 5, the 6 foot doesn't mean anything.
That's true.
It means he can go to 5, but that's,
But they don't have to come back here that way.
no,
or
nobody has to come back.
Nobody has to do that, they're
Right.
fine. Okay.
that answer your question, Larry, as
Yes.
far as, okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for either Mr. McFarland or the other gentleman here?
Del Ferraro, Mr. Del Ferraro.
Sorry. yeah.
That's right, that's
I
fine.
have one question. What's the reason for the 6 foot? It states in here that the father, which, okay, I understand that, but I don't understand the going to 6 foot because father's at risk of wandering into the
And also,
road.
we have a beagle, and he likes to bark at people as they're walking, and he's outside. Right now with the fence, you can see through it. If you're up on our deck by the patio door, you can see over it.
So it's not the father, it's your dog.
Well, it's both, actually. It's mainly my father with the fence falling down, and with the going 6 foot is where the dog is.
I got, well, no, I understand that. You can replace that. I
Right.
have no problem.
Okay. Further questions? I hope we cleared up some misunderstandings here and misconceptions for everybody, so
Yes.
that's not part of our job, but I'm glad we were able to do it.
So do we need a motion, Tim?
Well, Mr. McFarland, you're asking for 6 foot,
Yes.
right? So a 2 foot variance is
So
what
the
he's asking
motion
for.
would be a 2-foot variance.
Right.
Again,
What is the 2-foot variance?
It would be from 4 to 6.
Four's what you're allowed to do, so we're giving you a 2-foot variance. You had a 1-foot variance in 2005.
You're talking about the height of the fence,
The height of
not
the
the
yeah,
fence
placement.
on the
sorry.
side on the fence.
specifically on Brittingham,
On just that side.
because 6 foot is permitted on the rear and the side.
You could
That's
go.
not on the
so-
street.
so
So
you
the other
could-
two can
right.
be done today. It's the Brittingham side that the variance request is necessary.
Because you can do 6 foot the other way around, so you don't need a variance for that.
Based on our zoning code,
Right.
not the homeowners. There's 2 homeowner associations in Ravenna. It's Woodbend and Anavar. Those are the only two.
Yeah.
And they're both active, which is a good thing.
Mhm.
So my motion is to give them a 2-foot variance.
Well, I don't know. Is it, yeah? If that's what you want to do. The request in the application is to go to 6 feet, so it's a
Which would
2 foot,
be,
2 foot
well, you
variance.
have to make a motion above the 4 that we normally allow. The variance is 4 foot.
Well, the variance
2 foot
is
is
2 feet.
on the 4-foot side.
Right.
Just on that side.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
so I would make a motion to that unless there's something else you want to discuss.
Larry, did you have a question, or was that going to be a second
I
or a
was gonna
motion?
expand his motion to say that the fence will be white. It will be on the same footprint with the 40-foot offsets.
Okay, then we've got an amended motion, and are you okay with the amended
Sure.
motion?
That's fine. He was
Then
there
let's
with
do
me.
roll call on the amended motion. It's Larry's
Larry's
amending,
amending, but seconding, okay.
second, and
Got it.
Dr. Miller seconding.
Got it, okay. Okay, Jerry Keiser,
Yes.
Ken Forcase?
Yes.
Tim Thomas,
Yes?
Cliff Magditch,
Yes.
Vince Barnes,
Yes.
Larry Salinas,
Yes.
and Dr. Miller.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, have fun with the homeowners association.
Thank you.
All right.
Isn't that true though, wouldn't we amend the original amendment, or the original variance, which was give, the original zoning code, I guess, to 2 foot, we don't go back to 2005 and amend that, do we?
In all of my years, we've never done it
Yeah,
that way.
I don't think we have
I
to
don't,
do
I
that.
don't, I don't even know what to do.
No, I don't think we have to do
I've
that. I
never
mean,
seen that
if that was a one-time shot, then I don't think, well, we're not empowered to, I don't
Right.
think, to change the zoning code.
Were any of us on the
Right.
zoning board in 2005? I wasn't.
I wasn't.
No, none of us here,
I don't think any of us were.
none of
Maybe
us here
Keith.
were.
We were all innocent at that point.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Next item on the agenda is an application by Dave Flashnight. Dave, you want to come to the podium, and I'll swear you in? You solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes,
Okay, you want to fire away?
yeah. So looks like a couple of zoning violations. One of which, the first one is because of the lay of the land. So when we built the house 35-plus years ago, it's very wet at the end of Woodbend. And so what we did was we only went 5 blocks into the ground, 7 blocks out of the ground, and then we brought in 90 triple axle loads of topsoil from Hartfill, and then tapered it up to the house. And I came across a drawing that I didn't submit, but it does show how much we are above ground level compared to the woods around us. So the woods around us, I believe, is a wetlands, and it can't be built upon, and that was the reason that we put the house so far out of the ground. So because of that, the existing garage at the south end of the lot is approximately 4 foot above ground level. So they used a laser and then checked it out in the yard. So they have to get down to the frost zone in order to put in the footers. So that's what's creating a wall that's actually 4 foot up before it reaches the driveway level, and then the garage goes up from there. One of the things that we are doing, though, is backfilling the cavity created by the base of the garage with 60 tons of fill gravel. And then we're also going to put dirt and stone all around the garage, just like the existing driveway and house are done. So we're actually going to cover up 4 foot of that wall. It'll be backfilled on the inside, and then 4 foot of it will be tapered up. So what appears to be a wall that's 4 foot above, I guess, the zoning regulations is going to be covered up anyways. Just like my basement is covered up. You know, we covered it up all the ways up to where the finished brick was. So if you look at the right side of the house, you can see how much above ground level it is. Well, over by where the garage is going to be, it's exactly the same, 4 foot above the grade. I did meet with HOA. I don't know if I gave this to the office a couple weeks ago, but this is the approval by the HOA. And if you need copies of it, I've got extra copies of it. So we're the other HOA, active HOA in Ravenna, and they're very active in our neighborhood. They seem to take care of everything that might be a variance. So any questions on the height of the wall?
So you're allowed, when we look at it, I was out and looked, I know your dad, or knew your dad pretty
Yeah.
well. That, the HOA, that's why I told you to get something from them and bring it in.
Yeah, we actually did it back in April.
Okay, so you were allowed to have a 3-car garage, is that correct? According to the HOA.
Right, they said that could be a 3-car garage, but this is going to be a 2-car garage.
So this is gonna be an extra garage, so
Right.
that's where you got the variation, or variance, if you will, from
Right.
HOA.
And it met their requirements. Terry Kane set the standard in the neighborhood when
Yeah, I know.
Spring Tree went in. His garage is actually not touching his house, and the HOA required that it be touching the house, and he put a piece of fretwork.
It's like a little causeway or something.
Yes,
That's all.
yeah. And then, so if you look at page 2 of the plans, if you have a copy of the plans,
Oh, they're over here. We don't have a copy of the plans in your
I
packet.
have individual copies
I
here.
saw what Terry Kane did, I know when he did that.
So what yeah.
Now, did Rollins keep that? Did they have that patch still? When I went by, I couldn't tell. Rollins had the repair stand. They own that house where Terry
They
Kane
do,
was.
yes.
Do they still have that little causeway or breezeway?
I don't think it's there anymore.
You know what? I didn't pull in the drive, but I didn't see it either.
Yeah, I looked when I was preparing to talk to the HOA, and I thought, well, yeah, I remember it being there for years, but it probably just rotted away and fell off. I don't know.
Because I don't know what you call it. It's like a connection. What
It
would
was
you
like a
call it?
piece of fretwork.
Yeah, I don't know, breezeway or something.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that
To get
exotic.
around it, that's what they did. They connected
Yeah,
it with.
it was just a piece of wood, basically. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a 10-foot long walkway that's not going to have sides on it. It's just going to have a tapered roof on both sides. So it'll be approximately 4 to 5 feet wide, and it'll connect the 2 doors, the door from the existing garage and then the new garage that it'll butt up against the side of
This
the
is what it
new
is.
garage.
It's in this
There.
packet here.
Yeah, so if you look on about page
Did you
2,
guys-
I
oh, you
gave you
got
all
it.
my copies, but if you look on page
No.
2,
I got it,
I
thanks.
think when you see the back side of the garage, you get a much better view
Yeah, I
of it.
see, it's right there. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, but I think that other one's gone, so.
But the sidewall height of the garage you're showing is 11 and a half feet? That's, okay, that's what's shown.
Yeah,
So-
I didn't even know it was in variance until
Oh,
I
I-
got your email.
Yeah, so for the residential garage code, the sidewall height of the garage is 9 feet. He's requesting 11 and a half. That's why the first variance is 2 foot, 5.5 inches, according to the plans.
Is that because of a construction issue or just an appeal, the visual appeal of it?
It's the visual appeal. Majority of the lots in this town are 50 feet wide. So folks start putting a larger garage, a 10-foot high sidewall with a high peak. The garage overtowers the neighborhood.
Right.
It's not that way in all cases, but that's why we have variance requests.
But in essence, we're eliminating that though, because we're gonna backfill 4 foot up the block, the cinder block, and then taper it down. So when you actually look at my driveway, it'll be one continuous seam all the ways around the driveway, and the garage will have that same taper to it. So like when you're standing out in the yard looking at my garage, you're seeing a slight hill, and then you're seeing the driveway. So it'll be that way all the ways around the garage. I don't want a big cement block wall out in my yard either. Although you can't see it from anywhere because it's facing the woods one way and facing the woods another way. But it will be, 4 foot of it will disappear.
Well, and you also used a Williamsburg-style house, right? Isn't that Williamsburg style?
It's actually
Or New England,
1720 Connecticut Federal. When we had the architect draw it, we gave him drawings of a Connecticut Federal so that he could
see.
copy it, sort of.
So the garage would match aesthetic.
It's gonna match exactly the existing garage, and I knew that would be an issue with the HOA, but plus I want it to look exactly the same. I don't want it to look any different.
And that's part of the reason for the peak being such a variation also.
Right, we had to match it up so it would match up with the existing garage. And the reason the existing garage is that high is I have my office and another room up above the garage.
Yeah, I
There's,
see.
inside the garage, there's a separate staircase that goes up to those 2 rooms. So for 40 years, I've traveled for my job, so I always had it set up so that it has a separate heating system and a separate door from the house so that I could just close it up when I was leaving and be gone for the whole week and come back, and the kids wouldn't have been in there or anything else, so it worked out quite well. So anyways, that's why the peak is so high, was to make room for the two rooms above the existing garage.
So he needs a variation on the peak also then, right?
No, we eliminated the maximum roof slope, the height of the roof. We went to sidewall
That was one of the
height.
things, okay.
And at one point, the code stated garages shall not be higher than 13 feet.
Right.
That's not practical. So instead, we went to the sidewall height and let the roof slope do what it needed to do, the height of the roof. In this case, he has a second story on the garage. That's helping add height. And you're gonna have a car lift in your garage also?
At some point, but at this
Okay.
point, I'm pretty tapped out. So
Okay.
it's hard to say when that'll ever happen. But
Okay.
there was a third issue though, and this one I was kind of perplexed about. It was a 50% rule where it said, and I read it so many times to try and make sure I understood it. 50%, the new garage cannot exceed 50% of the existing structure, but the houses, so the new garage is gonna be like 50 or 560 square feet, 24 by 24, a two-car garage. And then the house is 3850 square foot, not counting the garage, which is another 756, I think. So I'm like 4,500 square feet on what's already there in living space, not counting the basement. So it doesn't seem like it's anywhere near 50%, the new structure.
The county auditor's website shows 2,164. So that's what I base my calculations on. I'm not sure where you got 3,800 square feet.
I have the original drawing, well, I didn't bring them tonight, but I have the original drawings. They're probably not counting, the 2 rooms above the garage, that's 800 square feet. And then after 2 years, we got another permit, and because the mosquitoes were so bad, we enclosed the back porch and made it into another room, and it's 15 by 22 or 23 or 4 feet. So we picked up space there, living space. They wouldn't count as bedrooms or anything because they don't have closets, but
Well, it just would, living space is considered a conditioned room, meaning there's heat, doesn't have to have
Right.
air conditioning, but heat.
yeah, they all have heat. But even at 506, whatever it is, 24 by 24, 560 square feet, it's still nowhere near 50% of,
When your
2100.
your existing garage is 768 feet,
correct,
okay.
correct.
And the proposed garage is 576.
Right, but
Okay, so if Board of Zoning Appeals accepts 3,800 square feet as his house, 3,850 square feet is his house, the two garages equal,
Less than 50%.
why didn't I do the math here?
What's less than
50%, yeah, so we have 768, 576, 1344. So then a variance for square footage would not be required.
Right.
Right.
okay, so you do add the two together. See, I read that so many times and I still couldn't,
So you don't, he doesn't really need a variance for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, this would not be required then.
Right, so that request isn't.
Right,
Okay.
then the third variance states a garage shall not store more than 3 vehicles. With the 3-car garage plus the 2-car garage, there'd be 5 vehicles, there'd be a variance of 2 vehicles. I don't know how you guys wanna,
Well, that's the
Rule on
homeowners
this.
association, if they've approved that, you gave us.
they have
oh
approved
yeah,
it.
they were there for about an hour back in April. And
They really.
they had copies of the drawings, everything.
And I would not have required him to come to Board of Zoning Appeals for 2 vehicles for this particular variance, but because he was here, I thought we'd throw it in
Yeah,
and discuss it. It's always, over the years, we've dealt with this. They have a 1-car attached garage, and then they want to build a building behind. So
So we should give them a variance for that.
if you want to clean things up, it
That way
doesn't
we'll
hurt.
have it on
It
the
doesn't
record.
hurt, but
Or
it's
if
not,
somebody comes back, like they said, county, if they came back, and someone else out there, Bryn Mawr, yeah.
they did approve this, yes. I spoke to Josh Smith as soon as I saw the application. In fact, the address was wrong on the drawings.
lives across
Josh
the
was the one that
street
told
from
me.
now he lives on the bend, where, you know where Dr. Sai is, the big
Yeah,
brick
where
house?
Roger is,
He's
sure.
straight across from
Oh,
him,
that's his house, okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where it was.
right next to Buller's, right?
Okay, so we have two
There's 2 variances, correct?
variances. Okay.
One's the sidewall height of the garage, because it has that big peak and it looks so tall,
Correct.
because he's using not Williamsburg, but whatever, the Connecticut.
Connecticut, yeah.
That's one, and the second one is we'll go ahead and give him the 2-car variance based on the HOA ruling, which supersedes anyways. They
Yeah,
can give him a 5-car deal.
I don't want to make that contingent upon what HOA did.
Well, they already gave it to him.
Well, I could care
So it's
less.
not contingent on that.
Well, but it doesn't matter. I mean, is all I'm saying.
Well, do you want to have it in the notes that we gave it to him, in case somebody comes back and wants another 2-car garage built? Like, let's say Roger's side comes back.
Okay.
Might as well have it on the record, then you can figure it out from there.
Well, for the 2-car garage, but, yeah, I got that, but I don't think that has to be part of the motion for what we're doing.
Well, that's true.
I mean,
But it
I
was shown as
understand
a-
what you're saying, Doctor.
It was shown as a
but-
variance required, though, so if you want to put it in, then down the road, if there ever is an issue, then I wouldn't have to come back to you
Right.
guys.
So, well, I mean,
Well, I could come back, but,
Did you bring us Hershey's candy since you
you know,
work
I
for
could have, but it would have looked,
me? There you go.
it would have
That's the
looked
kid.
like a bribe.
Well, you don't want to let the Hershey.
You know, I don't want to look like I'm bribing people, you know?
If it's less than
He works for Hershey.
$20, it's not a bribe.
He's a regional manager.
okay.
Maybe next meeting I'll send Kenny with some, how's that? So I won't be here, I can't be tied to it.
I
He
want the
won't show
dark
up.
chocolate.
Oh, yeah,
Keep it.
or maybe Lily starts
So
talking.
how do you want to word these? You want to make it 2 separate votes?
Yeah, I think we need to do 2 separate. So, on the sidewall variance, I'll entertain a motion for a 2-foot, 5.5.
2.5, yeah, 2.5 feet variance on the sidewall to give the height to the garage. That's one motion.
Correct. So, does anybody want to make that motion? Jerry, okay, a second to that?
I second it.
Oh, okay,
And then we'll vote on it.
all right. Any further comments, questions? Okay, roll call?
Okay. Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Tim Thomas,
Yes.
Clark Nagditch,
Yes.
Larry Salinas,
Yes,
Vince Barnes.
Yes.
Ken Forcase.
Yes.
And Jerry Keizer.
Yes.
Okay, one down, one to go. I'll entertain a motion for the two-car garage, or to allow two cars.
To allow the two-car garage
That's,
with the connection.
okay,
Like, that's what Terry Kane's, you know where Terry Kane's house was?
But again, well, I mean, you can make this motion, but it's not zoning's, it's not necessary for a Board of Zoning Appeals to approve
So
a
we just need
connection.
the two-car garage?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Correct.
Okay.
HOA needs to connect.
If they want that, that's
Yeah.
up to them.
They did.
but that's,
They did.
but that's not.
Oh, yeah.
They're tough.
That's not our job though, so,
So we'll make the motion for the two-car garage. So
okay. Larry,
Second.
second on that. Further comments or questions from the board?
I am gonna say, it's gonna look good. I've been down there, and he's backed up against Giant Eagle and a swamp, and he's building a really nice building.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's gonna cost almost as much as the original house, believe it or not, 35 years later.
Wow. It's a swamp back there, guaranteed, yep.
there's a reason though for that.
Well, we're working on, hopefully we're working on,
It's what you told me about.
Getting
Oh, about
water
the
to move.
mosquitoes, oh, it's horrendous.
open it up, get
It's just
sunshine
far
in
enough.
there. so-
Not
Yeah.
far enough away.
As long as you're on the subject, can you extend the ditch that they put in 2 years ago?
That's what we're-
Take it to Linden, there's a catch basin right there.
Yeah.
Get rid of all that
We're
water.
working on it. We
Okay,
gotta- we
thank you
can't-
for that.
We can't get a brush hog back there because it's too wet. So they were cutting it down by hand, letting it dry out, and then we'll.
Oh, yeah,
work
they
on
got
it.
stuck a bunch of times just doing that. It's really a swamp.
Yeah.
Okay, further comments, questions? Roll call, please.
This is for the garages.
Mhm.
Jerry Keizer,
Yes.
Ken Forcase.
Yes.
Tim Thomas.
Yes?
Clark Nagditch,
Yes.
Vince Barnes.
Yes.
Larry Salinas,
yes.
and Dr. Miller.
Yes. And you're bringing Hershey's chocolate to our next meeting. Dark chocolate.
I'm not coming unless I run into issues.
I'll be
So
on together.
I'll give it to Kenny.
Think of me a big basket of candy for you.
You don't have a sugar issue, do you? We have Lily's too.
That's
I
good
really
for your
want the
teeth,
dark
isn't it?
Hershey's chocolate,
Yeah,
that's my
but
favorite.
Lily's doesn't have sugar in it.
Pardon me?
Lily's makes the best dark chocolate and there's no sugar in it.
Yeah, Richard wants to see sugar cane, cabbage.
Well, I told him for 43 years I've been sending customers to him. I can't do much more than that.
Are we supposed to be doing anything with this, or was
Thank
this
you
just
so much.
nothing?
We're getting
Okay.
it, yeah.
Bye.
All right, Dave.
Um, So the next item, we were requested, as some of you heard, Planning Commission to update Chapter 12, update our planning and zoning code that you guys should have in your booklets. I see Vince brought his booklet, I don't see anybody else's, so, okay, Jerry's got his, okay. So Tiffany had Chelsea Gregor pull over the last 3 years of updates. And we came up with 3 updates that will pertain to Board of Zoning Appeals. So, did you pass those out, Tiffany? Okay, so if you want to insert those, there's one that deals with Chapter 14, which is Board of Zoning Appeals has the appeal process for fences, and they also, what's the other one?
Donation boxes, roof pitch.
Yeah, okay,
which
so,
we've talked about a long time,
Yeah,
and that's corrected, right?
I think Board of Zoning Appeals actually handles signs too, but we haven't changed signs for many years.
Yeah.
But donation boxes was something that we basically tried to just get rid of in general, and we've done a good job. And I wouldn't recommend Board of Zoning Appeals even hear of variance for donation boxes. So, but it was something she pulled, so I wanted you guys to have it. And you guys know about the roof pitch, so if you would replace that in your code. And then you also have fences. The yellow, when you see the yellow highlighted area, those are the dates that things changed. Areas that haven't been, December 2nd, 1991. So some things haven't changed. We didn't see the need to change them, I guess. So that's all.
Thanks.
Okay.
We,
That's all I want to say.
we trust you to know the code. That's why we didn't all bring our books.
All right, I try, I do bring mine. And next month, we have at least 3 variance requests, maybe 4.
Who are they with?
One's a driveway, one's a shed, maybe.
Garage,
Oh, yeah, there's a,
road,
yeah, Code Road is a garage, yeah. Williams is a driveway, feuding neighbors, it ought to be really fun.
yeah, that's,
We haven't had one of them for a while.
yeah, well, this'll be it.
This might be
This'll
it.
the one.
Oh,
This might set a,
thanks for the warning.
Backed by popular demand.
one might be a shed,
We may have to pay some criminal just for this one.
yeah. Can't remember what the 4th one is.
We almost had to call.
More than likely a fence or something.
That was quite a while ago. He wasn't on there then.
Just, the neighbor from Zeta Street put up her own fence, and,
Is that Donna?
Mr. Van Hoos called Tiffany and said that the two shook hands and they get along okay now. Not great, but okay.
They worked it out. I was
That's 'cause
like,
they
wow,
talked to her.
amazing.
Just called today.
Wow, guys.
Her, didn't they? They talked to you.
Tiffany's a peacemaker.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll just like
So which one are the neighbors feuding about in the upcoming?
the driveway,
You name it.
but they
He's,
fought over everything.
he stole my bricks and he's dumping on the neighbor's
What are the
property and
names?
his fence.
Do you remember the names?
Not right
All
off.
stuff that has nothing to do.
Police have been called and
We gotta adjudicate.
I,
Almost as bad
I've
as that attorney.
asked them to put up a fence. And please put up a fence so you two will get along.
Attorney for a neighbor.
With barbed wire, facing him.
Well, we'll deal with that when we see what we've got.
Right. And maybe the other one won't show
What
up.
would that be next?
The,
I guess they always put it in connection, we always run late because they always have that planning thing.
Yeah, has planning commission changed to 6?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
they
think they,
voted to change to 6.
Okay.
that's perfect, cause then it just
It'll be
makes us terrible.
September 26th. September 26th is the next meeting.
At what time? Are we gonna stay at
Same.
7 or go to 6:30?
Yep, we're gonna say it's 7.
Now, if we go to 6:30, planning commission will run over and we'll still be at 7.
Yeah,
We'll be here all night.
maybe.
Yeah.
We have a planning commission meeting.
Well, but they did change to 6
Yeah.
o'clock, the planning.
Planning commission has
So
gone to
they'll
6.
get like tonight, okay.
Yeah. We won't have an 8 o'clock start like we've had a couple times.
That's ridiculous. And they don't really,
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Vince, I'm gonna take Larry and then Vince because you wanted to try to get in before, so. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, gentlemen, and
Bob,
Madam
next time
Madam
we'll
Secretary.
mess with the power grids and this.
Okay, I promise.
City Hall gets the blame.
you will?
Yeah, we had no power. City Hall had power, but Annex didn't have power.
We should have waited to the end.
Could be, because the way your fight is, you did it.
I'll take the blame. I thought it was your giant trees that fell down and
It was.
He's like, it
My
was.
power's back on at 7 o'clock and 5.